And welcome to a Selection Sunday special. I am your host, Noah Love, and tonight we will be talking about the selection show. March Madness Men's Basketball Championship Selection Show is in the books. The regular season slash, I guess, the conference tournament has ended, and we're already in the postseason, but you get the drift. Um, we have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm not going to waste your time here with a huge dialogue. I'm just going to get into it. Okay, I'm going to give you the regions here for what the committee did. Let's start in the East. The number one overall seed is Duke. They will play number 16 Siena on, I believe that is Thursday. I believe that is Thursday. Yes, the 19th they'll play Ohio State and TCU in the 8-9 matchup. They'll play on the 19th, and on the 20th, you'll have St. John's in Northern Iowa. St. John's comes in as the 5. Northern Iowa won the Missouri Valley as the 12. Kansas beat Cal Baptist. Kansas will play Cal Baptist in the 4-13. Number 6 Louisville will play number 11 South Florida. South Florida champions of the American. They get in. They'll play on the 19th. Michigan State will play North Dakota State in the 3-14 matchup. Then in the 7-10 matchup, UCLA will play UCF. In the 2-15 matchup, UConn will play Furman. Now, let's go to the West region. The second overall number one seed was Arizona. I thought they should have been the first number one overall seed. It's fine. They will play 16 seed Long Island. LIU, they won their conference. Then in the 8-9 game, Villanova will play Utah State. Utah State won the Mountain West. Even if they didn't, they would have been in anyways in terms of the tournament because they won the regular season. Villanova, that's a very interesting matchup. Wisconsin will play High Point in the 5-12. In the 4-13. Arkansas, who's the 4, will play Hawaii. Hawaii going dancing for the first time since 2000, since the 2010s. Excuse me. The 6 seed there, BYU, they will play the winner of the first 4 game on Tuesday night in Dayton between Texas and North Carolina State. Texas, 6 quad 1 wins, 18-14. Sean Miller for the second year. Last year was Xavier. This year it's Texas. They just get into the field, and Will Wade. I thought they wouldn't be in Dayton. I know they slid down the stretch, but just barely get in. Winner will take on BYU. In the 3-14 game, Gonzaga as 3 will take on Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State back in the tournament. In the 7-10 matchup, Miami will play Missouri. That game's in St. Louis. We will get into the locations and everything because I have thoughts on that one specifically. Purdue won the Big Ten tournament, and they'll they're the last 2 seed. They'll play 15 seed Queens on Friday. Let's go to the number 3 overall in the Midwest, Michigan. Michigan, number 1, they will play the winner of the first 4 game between UMBC and Howard. In the 8-9 game, Georgia will play St. Louis. In the 5-12, Texas Tech is a 5. They will play 12 seeded Akron, who is here for 3rd year in a row. They beat Toledo in the MAC championship game. The 4-13 game will be Alabama and the Hofstra Pride. Obviously, Hofstra was able to get in, won their conference tournament. Bama had a good season. I thought a 4 was a little bit too high, but okay. Tennessee is the 6th. They will play the winner of the last first 4 game on Wednesday night between Miami of Ohio and SMU. Miami of Ohio gets in at 31-1. They get in to be an at-large selection. It's the first time the MAC has had two bids since 1999. SMU, they're getting back healthy. That's going to be a heck of an atmosphere. I think that's going to be a heck of a game. In the 314, Virginia will play Wright State. In the 710, Kentucky will play Santa Clara. Three-bid Mountain West this year. And obviously in the 215, Iowa State will play Tennessee State. Going to the back here to the South region, the last region, the fourth one seed is Florida. They will they will play the winner of PV in Lehigh, Prairie View, I think in Lehigh. In the 8-9 game, it'll be Clemson in Iowa on Friday. In the 5-12 game, we have Vandy in McNeese on Thursday. In the 4-13 game, we have Nebraska in Troy. In the 6-11 game, we have North Carolina, who will be playing in Greensboro. They take on the LSC VCU in the A10. I guess VCU, if they did not win the A10 championship, they would have been out. Dayton would have took their spot, and VCU just would have been left out. In the 3-14 game, Fran McCaffrey as the 14 against Illinois once again with Penn back in the tournament. TJ Powers, one of the best performances I've seen. And then in the 7-10, St. Mary's as the 3-bit West Coast Conference. They'll take on the number 10 Texas A&M Aggies. And in the 2-15, Houston will play Idaho. And that rounds out your 64 or 68 team bracket. Okay, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I want to apply. I think they got the 68 teams right. I'm happy Auburn was not in this tournament. Maybe if you say they got the 67, 68 teams, maybe if you had Oklahoma over Texas, fine. I think I think they got the 68 teams right though. I think the committee did value conference tournaments. I think they did. I think with Purdue winning the Big Ten as the 7 seed, they came in, I think, probably on the 3 line. They go up to 2, and because Michigan State lost early, Michigan State, I think, I popped down to 3. So Purdue getting the 2 seed is great. I really do believe they valued the conference tournament. A couple gripes. A gripe. I thought St. John's should have been on the 4 line. Uh, I thought they were more deserving of a 4 seed than Kansas was in terms of the seeding on the 4 line. I thought Nebraska dropping to a 4 kind of surprised me because I thought for sure they were going to get a 3. But looking at the teams that got the 3, you got Michigan State, Illinois, Gonzaga got a 3, and then Virginia got a 3. I think Virginia getting a 3 is good. I thought they'd be a 4. They got a 3. Virginia's been playing very good. I like that there. Let's talk about this dang on tournament in terms of the matchups. First of all, I just gotta go to this back up to the East region because to me this is the most intriguing. This is the most intriguing region by far. I got first of all Duke for the number one overall seed. They, their region. I mean, jeez. I got Ohio State and TCU, two of the hottest, at least power conference team going in the last week. In the 8-9 game, TCU being a 9. Oof, I mean, that TCU, they've got some wins this year. Iowa State, Florida, Wisconsin. TCU's not an easy out. And then in this region, I got St. John's and Kansas. Woof. South Florida can really play. I got Louisville. Then I got Michigan State, UCLA, and UConn. Despite how they played in the Big East tournament final, Hurley and his team that's never an easy out for a number one overall seed. They got a heck of a bracket, and I just gotta say this: I gotta give props to the selection committee for this region because of the coaches. I got I got Shire. In this, just big name coaches. I got Shire. I got Patino. I got Self. I got Kelsey. I got Izzo. I got Cronin. I got Hurley. All in the same region. We could be, in terms from a coaching perspective, we could be on a collision course in the round of 32 for two coaching matchups where so I could get Self versus Patino, which they tried to do last year but couldn't get there. They tried it last year. Cal beat obviously Self. This year, let's see. And then I got Hurley versus Cronin, which whoever's team loses that potentially, the whoever's whichever coach loses that one is going to have an all-time press conference. This region, to me, a sleeper in this region is TCU. Actually, no, scratch that. South Florida. South Florida and TCU is really good. South Florida can really play, man. They can really play. They play with great pace. They can really score the basketball. Again, I'll go and again, I really like them against Louisville. That's an upset. Louisville's not playing great. South Florida is contrasting styles, a little bit similar styles in the way they play. I love that. The 8-9 game, I'm going to go back to this. Ohio State and TCU. We get to see Bruce Thornton in the NCAA tournament and them playing TCU. That's the first game of the tournament. That's a heck of a game to start it on. That's a heck of a game to start it on. UConn obviously playing in Philadelphia. That's big, obviously. There, they like that. And if they can get to the Sweet 16 here, we could be on a collision course for just a blue blooded Sweet 16. We either could get Duke versus, or not blue blooded, but in terms of coaches, like we could either get Shire versus Patino or Shire versus Self. And down here, we could either get Izzo versus Cronin or Izzo versus Hurley. I just, woo, this East region is insane. This region, man. This is going to be the region you should really pay attention to this year. This region, we've got a whole bunch of cinema going on. I This region is very intriguing to me. I mean, and then we go down here to now we go down here to the West region. The West region is just all great games here. I got all great games. I got Villanova and Utah State in that 8-9. That's intriguing. Wisconsin and High Point, first to 90 wins. These two teams, they're gonna shoot the threes. They're gonna get them up. They can stretch out the floor. The Nick Boyd and Blackwell are going to have to be key, obviously, in how they play. But this game is a first to 90. we could be setting up for a round of 32 matchup, assuming Wisconsin doesn't get upset this time. We could be setting up for Wisconsin and Arkansas, which Cal versus Guard. That that game, we got Boyd versus Acuff. That two teams that I believe could make a run, but now they're going to face each other in the round of 32, and whichever team loses that game, if they both make it there, it's going to be like, dang, disappointing season. So at least the fan bases may feel that way. That one there. I mean, BYU gets the winner of Texas and North Carolina State, which again, DeBonsta, AJ DeBonsta is the one guy in this tournament that I believe can just, outside of maybe A Cup, just straight drag his team, straight drag his team to the to to a win and maybe to a run in this tournament. Again, Gonzaga, the Sweet 16 streak ended. I do fully expect them to get back there again. I like I like the draw. I wouldn't pick them all the way because I don't believe from an offensive standpoint their guards are consistent enough. But that BYU matchup if they face them could be interesting. Here is a gripe. Mizzou, I thought, was near Dayton, or should have been near Dayton, and should have been, you can make the argument, should have been playing in Dayton instead of one of the four, which Miami of Ohio. We now, Mizzou not only doesn't have to play in Dayton, they're in. They did a 10-7 matchup with Miami in St. Louis, which is a home game. I'm sorry. Miami got jobbed here in terms of the geographical draw. They got jobbed. Let's call it how it is. You're 3 seed in the ACC. You had a great year, 25, 26 wins. I'm a 7 seed. I'm loving it. And then, yeah, you're going to play Mizzou. And even though you're the higher seeded team, it's essentially a road game. And if Mizzou finds a way to beat Miami, then Purdue got to play a road game. Mizzou, if you're a Mizzou fan, you, from a geographical perspective, and even from a good, like, team perspective, you love this draw. This is a favorable draw for Mizzou. I like this draw. Now, do I think the now that Miami game is tricky, and obviously I do think I like Purdue's draw here to get to the Elite Eight, but I'm just saying, like from a geographical standpoint, wow, I do, but be a draw. I do like their draw. Again, they could get their possible opponents if they get to the Sweet 16. It's either the winner of Texas NC State, BYU, which stopping DeBonsta isn't easy, but I think they'll be able to do it. I think they'll be able to neutralize everybody else. And then I'm looking there. It's potentially Gonzaga, which I do think they'll be able to beat Gonzaga, although that would be a tough matchup. And now, here we go down to the Midwest region. Michigan, after losing Big Ten tournament championship, okay. I like their draw in terms of the region. I love their draw in terms of the region. I do. I think in the 8-9 game, Georgia and St. Louis, Yes, they play was a little bit praised. They could shoot it a little bit. I think Michigan can shut them down defensively. I don't think they have the bigs to compete with Michigan. I think it's a Sweet 16, and this could be one of those regions where the 12 and 13 could be playing in the round of 32 to go to the Sweet 16. I do think Akron and Hofstra can upset Texas Tech and Alabama, especially Akron. I think when you look at the way that Akron plays and the way they can put the ball in the bucket, and even though Christian Anderson will be available, will he be 100%? No JT Toppin. I could see Akron pulling some off. Now, it would interest me a Michigan Alabama game because I don't the because what worries me about Michigan is they at times they're not the greatest 3-point shooting team. Even though they've won games without the three ball, I just think in a game in the NCAA tournament, you're going to have to knock down 10, 11 threes. I just think you're going to have to do that. I also think if you get into that game with Alabama, Alabama is going to try to make it a track meet. They're not going to try to put that game in the half court. In the half court, they're going to try to Nate Oates run it. We're going to shoot a lot of threes. Like they're not trying to do that. I do think Alabama, besides the SEC tournament, they were playing very well, and I do think that as a matchup with the guards, I think that Alabama has, I think they could give Michigan trouble. I really do. Again, we got Tennessee here. That 6-11. Miami of Ohio and SMU is very intriguing. To me, that's a game where Miami of Ohio will have the crowd advantage. I like Miami of Ohio to win that game. I'm gonna go out on a limb there and pick an upset. I love I think SMU is really good. Boopy Miller and co. Uh, getting their forward back for the tournament. I just think. See, the issue Miami of Ohio is going to have in this game, in in the game Wednesday night, is ability. They have a tough time guarding sometimes, and I really do think like in this tournament you're gonna have to guard. Like to me, this like even if they win this game, even if they win that game against SMU and they play Tennessee, they're gonna have to guard. The Tennessee they're gonna guard you, but I really do think Miami of Ohio though can give people problems in this tournament because again they can stretch you out. They're a very good free throw shooting team, very good 3-point shooting team. They have good guards that can play. Now the size thing could become an issue if in that game against Tennessee, but you never know. Tennessee's record should be better than what it is though, because Tennessee has had some games this year where they've had the lead and at the end of the game you just go what is that possession? Why are we turning it over? What are we doing? So that's a trick. I think that Miami of Ohio though SMU game is the most intriguing game of the tournament. Suter, Boopy Miller, that arena's gonna be rocking. Obviously, if you win that, you face Tennessee, and then the winner will either get Virginia Wright State, Virginia Ryan Odom, them being the three. I think Virginia is also a tough, a tough, a tough out because of the way they can shoot it. To me, and then you go down here. I love Iowa State's draw. I love it. You got if you're Iowa State, this gotta be the year in terms of ultimate. You gotta get to the Elite Eight here and see what happens. And I think Iowa State when is as good as anybody in the country. They got to be their A game. To me, I think Iowa State can make the Elite Eight. I think if they play Virginia, they'd be able to shut Virginia down, or at least neutralize the three ball ability. I think if Iowa State is at their best in this tournament, when they're shooting threes, guarding, physicality, they could just completely take you out your game. And I think if they could get it to Elite Eight matchup with Michigan, to me, the key is always going to be the bigs of Michigan, but obviously Joshua Jefferson for Iowa State come out, shoot the three ball. Malama Chilovich shoot the three ball. You got great veteran guards there. Tamim Lipsey is a great lead guard. I think we could see that in the Elite Eight. Um, Also, that Kentucky Santa Clara matchup to me is very juicy. In the 7-10, that's a very, very intriguing game. I think Kentucky, the way they play, they have an inside presence. But also, you got Chandler. They're a team that's underachieved this season, but they're going in a big dance. They have a lot of talent. So, again, you never know with those teams. But Santa Clara, if you just looked at the way they played, I mean, even West Coast Conference tournament, again, I will say it, the ability to shoot the three and stretch you out, that could be a tough matchup for Kentucky. It really can be. I don't love that first round matchup for Kentucky there playing Santa Clara. I do not like that at all. You go to the South region here. I I like Florida, at least the top. I like their draw. Uh in the 8-9 game, I said Wisconsin High Point be first to 90. Clemson Iowa's going to be first 60. That is going to be the most defensive game you've ever seen. Both teams slow tempo. The difference in the game is going to be the guards, and I just think Bennett Sturts. I mean, him being here last year, you saw what he did against Mizzou in that basketball game last year. I think that could be the difference against a Clemson team that's kind of limping in. They're not playing as well as they probably like. Uh, I also like the that Nebraska trying to win their first NCAA tournament game ever. Troy, obviously Troy can play. Was in was a high major. You saw they took triple overtime with USC. I believe they beat San Diego State. Like Troy can play. Vanderbilt and McNeese. To me, McNeese, they're like last year. They can turn you over. Vandy can turn you over. But it's going to be about in terms of that matchup in the 5-12, which guards are better with the basketball. And man, Vandy's good. Like you saw what they did to Florida. When man, Vandy is good. Though they shoot the ball well, they play with great pace. Those guards can get in the lane. They're very good defensively. But again, if McNeese can turn you over, like if they're turning over Vandy at a high clip, that's where Vandy gets in trouble. And even if this is a gritty, like grindy game with McNeese, that's where McNeese wants to be. They don't want to be in the 80s and 90s, or even 75, 80s. They don't want to be there. Maybe 70s, but you won't be 60s. Again, if you're in a game where it's 60s, mid 65 against Vandy, I like your chances there. Again, it's going to be crucial for both teams because they like to turn you over. You saw it. Vandy turned Florida over. McNeese State just fun to watch turn you over. Turnovers is going to be the name of the game in that. In that. And we could be on a collision course with Florida and Vandy in the Sweet 16. Again, I will probably Todd Golden getting another shot, part three. I would like that. I would also love Nebraska there if they could make a run. They've been a feel good story this year. If they could make a run here to Sweet 16, I like that. North Carolina VCU in the 6-11 game in Greensboro, that's a one. VCU is playing very good. Their defense is the reason they've been able to go on this run, winning 16 of their last 17 games. And they're playing a North Carolina team without Caleb Wilson. To me, and when you get to March Madness in the tournament, it's about your guards. It ain't about anything else to me. It's about your guards. And to me, this game is going to be strictly the guard play. Trimble and Dixon and they got to play good. Now, I do think they've played well at points without Caleb Wilson, but I don't trust them to get out of this to the Sweet 16. Like, I love Illinois' draw here in terms of a pin. Now they got to contain T.J. Powers, Fran McCaffrey, and Underwood. That's a matchup, and we obviously know how Penn can score the ball. And the Ivy League is no stranger to big upsets. We know that. But I think I if they can get past Penn, which I think they will, I love that 6-11 draw. I just think they have too much size for VCU, and I think at their best here playing because the size advantage. I mean, they go what I think Boswell's they go 6'3". I think Stojakovic, they go like he's like 6'6". I think Walker's like 6'8". Davies 6'11", and Ivasic like 7'1". And they can all shoot the three. Again, Illinois at their best is a matchup problem because with how great Wagler is, and then you have the senior veteran leadership of Boswell. He's great defensively. Stojakovic. I mean, this is a tough guard. I think Illinois and Penn's going to be an up and down game, but I think I would like Illinois to get to the Sweet 16 and probably play Houston. I think Houston will get past Idaho. They play the winner of St. Mary's and A&M, and and look, A&M, they're gonna want to force St. Mary's play their way, up and down, shooting the three ball. I don't think St. Mary's can play that way. I really don't think St. Mary's can play that way. That's a tough matchup for St. Mary's, in my opinion. That is a very tough matchup. Buckyball there for A&M, but yeah. In terms of these regions, like this is a great tournament. This is going to be a great tournament this year. I do not think it will be chalky as last year because I think teams in the 12 and 13 and 11 spots are better than what they were last year. And I think even like the ones, I think are a little bit weaker. In the twos, the threes, the fours, I think they're a little bit weaker than last year. So I don't think you'll be in for a chalk tournament. I mean, some of these 11 seeds can flat out, like VCU South Florida can play. They can play. And then I'm looking at 12. High Point can play. High Point can absolutely stun Wisconsin. They can absolutely stun them. Again, I just talked about McNeese and Vandy. Vandy is their first time really. I mean, last year they made the NCAA tournament, but they didn't have any expectations. This is the first time where you feel like they have expectations. And McNeese was doing it last year. Does that weigh in? And again, in some of these games, you got to think about it like this. Does when that game gets into the second half and it's a 3-point game and 2-point game and that underdog is starting to feel some momentum, do the teams that are the favorites start to feel the pressure, start to will? These are very interesting things and developments. So look, I'm gonna fill out the bracket. We are gonna come back on here and obviously we're gonna talk about the NCAA tournament, I guess, more in depth throughout the week. But yeah, how great is it? We have an NCAA tournament. How great is it? This is March. This is what we live for. I'm gonna get out of here. Please, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And this has been the Selection Sunday special with your boy Noah Love. Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Until the next time, see ya.